Welcome. Today is January the 5th, Park Department meeting. Myself, Mike Mattin, Chris Hopkins, board, Chad Leclerc, just to go over a few agenda items and catch up and recap the previous year. So before we start, say our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. All right. So I'm going to see if I can remember all of this stuff, but so recapping what 2023. So we are in the process of finishing up improvements to the Wi-Fi in the park, thanks to Nick and his crew. We've added 20 security cameras throughout the park. We have a few more to go. We have coverage of all the walkways all the way down to White Field, which we've never had before, which is great. Working on the parking lot, the playground, Veterans Memorial, etc., with a lot quicker access to all of them. This way, if anything were to happen after hours, which we've been asked before, we never had access to all of the cameras, so now we do. The DPW has been doing some work at the park, upgrading some pipes for drainage for, I believe it's the Frank or Park Ave and Lisa Avenue area, so they had to dig up some of the field. While they're there, they're doing some work on the fields for us as well, doing some cementing of the dugouts, help with drainage and washing away of the stone dust and so forth that's there. So that's currently all in the progress. We have, and we'll get to in a few moments, some future items, basketball courts and so forth, and we have been approved for some funding for the existing basketball court, but in light of the improvements that we want to make, I spoke with Dan. We're looking to kind of fill some of the cracks and do some of the minor improvements to the court that's already there, instead of spending all the money on that court and then having other courts built or potentially having other courts built. So I know that was previously approved. We have new picnic tables throughout the park. I mean, really, that's it. Mike Ashley's been doing a great job around the park, cleaning up. He's trying to stay up on leaves and so forth. We haven't had as much trouble this year with kids. The ones that we did, we were able to find them, and they came and helped out and did some community service, and I'm hoping with the cameras that'll help with any additional issues. But I mean, that's really some of the stuff that we've done this year in 2023. I don't know if you guys recall any other things that you've seen around the park. I didn't write them all down, but it's basically the gist of what I have so far. So that was the first agenda item. The second is just a salary change. I spoke with Nick. We need to obviously formally approve it. Currently, Mike Ashley, who does all the work at the park, works with the kids throughout the summer, now has added the school soccer field, so he cuts those twice a week during peak time, once a week before and after the peak season. Currently he's at a salary of 18, but with all of his supervisory, current minimum wage, and adding in all the work that he does at the school and responsibility he has there, I was looking for the board to approve an increase to $20 per hour starting on an effective January the 1st. So because of the holidays and so forth, I couldn't get this meeting in prior to the 1st, so it would just be retroactive to January 1st with board approval. I'm hoping to add somebody in the spring, maybe somebody that works part-time with him. He does the leaves all year long to try to keep up to date. I know we had veterans. They had some, I think it was Veterans Day and a couple of the activities they had at the Veterans Memorial, and he spends time there beforehand making sure that it's as clean as possible, and it's not helpful when the leaves fall small bunches at a time, and he has to keep up to date with it for that area, but he does a great job, and he tries to keep it up throughout the year. So I think it's warranted. I'm here today to make sure you guys feel the same, that we can approve that.
absolutely. I'd make a motion to approve that.
Okay. We have a second?
Yep, second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, motion has been so moved. All right, so Mike, I'll leave this one up to you. I know it's probably not a huge amount, because we've talked on the side, just
Yeah.
to see if you've heard from anything, but updates for...
Yeah, we're looking to update the new basketball court, possibly pickleball court, just to update the park a little bit. We're gonna get an engineer to get out there and survey and do everything. We've identified a company we're willing to work with, that's willing to work with us. Scheduling has been tough, and then we went to the winter and holidays, and we said this month, January, I'm going to reach out to him again. We'll talk to him. He's more than happy to come out and help us out. So we're going to get that ball rolling, just get an idea of what we're looking at, what we can do, what we can't do. My goal is to make the park more useful to a wider variety of people, not just baseball and basketball and playground. Maybe add some basketball courts. That one does get pretty full at times, and it'd be nice to have another one there. Possibly pickleball. I know it's a pretty hot thing so far. I haven't played, but from what I understand, everybody really enjoys it. It'd be nice to get something along those lines over there.
I'll play.
There you go. A few other options that depend on how big we go and that sort of thing about as far as clearing. A major thing, I think, will be the parking.
Yeah.
It would be nice, because with this, we're going to be able to add some parking, get some of that congestion off the street, get those, I mean, with my previous 24 years, having to go there and tell people to move their cars off the corners and out of driveways, this will help alleviate some of that. Did some quick math. I'm hoping to see a good amount of parking in there, considering the size we're going to use. But once we get surveyed, we'll have a better idea of number of parking spots. Also, not looking to just make a black top there. We're thinking about, making it a little more appealing to the eye with plantings and that sort of thing. Try to make it a little more useful, enjoyable. But again, once we talk with the surveyors, the engineers to get out there, survey it, we'll know exactly what size property we're able to work with. And then, like I said, just move along and see what our budget looks like and try to alleviate some of the issues while adding to the community.
That's awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Good.
What part of the park is that?
So on the,
Yeah.
on the Park Drive side, we're going to be looking over there. There's a wooded section. Again, not looking to clear cut woods or anything like that, but there's a wooded section over there. There is some wetlands further into there. And so I just want to make sure we're within the buffer zones and all that and doing everything the right way. So the engineers will be able to kind of tell us that. But basketball court is the biggest item there besides the parking lot. But pickleball court, looks like you can fit about 2 of them inside of a basketball court or so, maybe a little bit more. So it'll be a nice addition, and an easy addition as far as size-wise and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and if we can fit a couple and maybe get a tennis court potentially, because
Yep.
we used to have tennis courts there.
Yes, yep.
It depends on the land. I don't know if, with what the DPW has been doing, one of the drainage pipes wasn't even connected to an area to go under the path. So there's a tunnel or whatever that it's supposed to go under the path and go
Right,
out that
yep.
way. It doesn't look huge, but obviously if that's something, I think we have land beyond that. So maybe there's something that we can put a walking bridge and maybe put something on the other side too,
Yep.
if we wanted to add. We checked, I know Mike, we had looked into and measured out the Joey Jason Senior Field or Champions
Yes.
Field, whether we could go above, like in the outfield beyond the walking path, but it was too close to homes and just not big enough of a
Yeah.
space. So this is really the only other expansion that we can do at the park itself is in that area. So now it's just how much can we get,
Right.
and how can we prevent neighbors from having
Right,
such a...
and that's obviously, we want to add for the community and that sort of thing, but also take care of the neighbors that are there and,
Yeah.
hopefully alleviate some of the issues in the past with the parking and that sort of thing by getting some of those cars off the street would be helpful.
And I know you mentioned apple trees or
Yes,
peach trees
yeah.
possibly as something to
Yeah.
add to kind of bring back Acushnet into that area, so it's just
Yeah.
not an open
Right,
parking lot.
right.
I know pickleball too, the other thing I've heard is some communities say it's really noisy, so like one of the thoughts was put the pickleball courts where the basketball court is now. Well, the rackets are like a harder material.
Me and Jackson play, so.
Oh, I don't know. I've
Yeah,
heard it online. I've heard some people over the, on the radio and stuff, they complain, and it can be loud. So I don't know if I want to put something like that, like so close to the house, like if the existing basketball court turned into it. But I mean, maybe that's something we do. We have to look into it. If we don't have the space to do it down there, at least it still gives that other option. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. As far as 2024, which is the next agenda item, I wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts were, if there's any besides this, anything else that you could see. I mean, whether it's beyond 2024. I know for me, it always seems like we're trying to upgrade the baseball fields, and obviously we've had one basketball court for so long, but it is popular, and we have a lot of kids that come to that one court at a time. So moving that. One of my issues is always having security available, but with this new system, we're hoping to tie it right to the police station, and we have it all the way down to Whitefield. It's going to be very easy to go from Whitefield to any construction that we make beyond Whitefield, so I'm not as concerned with that, but there have been issues with the existing basketball court now, but we have cameras on it, and now we'll have cameras down there if we build. I would love to do something with the playground. It's just, we've looked into grants to try to do something where it's more handicapped accessible. You can't have a wheelchair or anything like that on that now. It's
Right.
Wood chips. So I'd love to do that. We've looked into grants because it's very expensive to put like the rubberized and upgrade some of that playground material that the kids play on. I mean, I think some of it's pretty outdated, and it costs a lot to replace some of the stuff that we've had to replace in the past. So again, with cameras, I feel more secure that, if somebody does something, we have a way to find out who it was. But with that being such an added cost, we just have to figure out ways to raise money or get money to build something like that. I mean, you're talking, I know, I hear it all the time, but I think Dartmouth looked into like a $1 million playground, at one point. So I don't know. It's not necessarily what I'm looking for that much. We don't have the room for it, but that flooring or ground and some new, areas that kids can play, and then obviously if it's handicap accessible, now you can get some areas that somebody maybe in a wheelchair or that has less accessibility now has something to play on that right now you don't have to worry about it because they can't get in there anyway.
Right.
So those are all improvements I'd like to see down the road. I don't know if there's anything else you guys would like to see park-wise. Please let me know.
I think that'd be a great idea if we can find a way of raising the money for it. I know it's expensive, but get that flooring down, I'm sure we can find a way.
Yeah.
We'll have to get together and put some ideas together once we can get an idea of price-wise, and maybe look into that a little bit more and put our heads together and come up with some plan, whether it's fundraising or, like you said, grants or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to pop up here in 2024, so.
Right. Anything? The only other thing I can think of, and it's partly, is like, I look at it from, because I'm involved with baseball, I know Chris you are as well, but like we have a facility in Fairhaven that has a concession stand, bathrooms, meeting room upstairs for the league. Our bathrooms here are not very good anymore. We have a porta-john that was brought to our attention, like maybe we should have something for people that are playing during the day in the playground, etc., if they need to go. So we have that. It's just we pay per month for that. Most people don't like to use porta-johns, but it's there. I've seen, I think it's Noah's Playground in Fairhaven that has like something where there's a code or a call you make. So if it's something where we had a better facility, then maybe that's something we can look into where they can come down. That's how they get in. I mean, again, with cameras, we can feel more comfortable letting people in and so forth. But that is something I'd like to improve on going forward. Maybe add to the garage that's there, and for the park side of it as well, because we don't really have any place to put a bathroom near the playground. And I started with the porta-john there, but quickly called by neighbors like, we don't want this there, it's an eyesore, etc. Is there a new place you can move it? So we did. So unless there was a way to hide it in that area, but it could still be up there. I mean, that's the only other thing I can think of is improving the bathrooms down near the baseball field so that they can just walk over to when they have a place to go.
And then some of the stand improvements, like you said, too, maybe.
Well, and I'd like to do, my big thing is make it
'Cause
like
like-
Fairhaven, where it's in that same building, like there's a concession stand and the bathroom there, which is more accessible. And then if we have a meeting hall, I know soccer rents out, we could have park meetings there, like if we did something like that, so maybe make it a place where they can be rented a little bit, make a little revenue that goes back to the park, but it's a nice little area. If there's storage up there, maybe if it's like the soccer league, they use it and they can have a closet that they can put some of their stuff in. Baseball has a closet for theirs, you know, something like that. I don't know.
The Board of Health made some recommendations too, right? Would that be something we'd be looking to improve on in the, like, they said keeping the stand at a average temperature, right? A
Yeah.
consistent temperature.
Yeah, we want to look into that too, yeah. So one of those units that they install now on the outside and maybe getting that in there, so yeah.
Ready split, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it gets hot in there, it gets freezing in there. And
Yeah, and
consistent temperature.
And the one thing I just don't know, my biggest concern is sewerage and how that works for that building. Like, I know there's a manhole cover and one right behind one of the fences, but I have no idea any of that structure. We have to look into that to see what can we expand and stuff.
Definitely help us with that.
Yeah, I mentioned it to Dan a little bit too, already when he was there walking the park with me. So those are all, I guess those are my improvements that I'd like to see. I mean, they're bigger and there's only so much we can do at the park. It's only got so much room. The big one being how much room extra do we have, and then the room that we have, what can we improve? Dan, like I said, Dan's working on cementing some areas, and I do have a fence being installed on Champions Field in the dugout area, because right now it has no fence. We're having a 4-foot fence put where the new cement has been laid. I'm just waiting for them to do that. That was part of some of the budget that we had assigned previously and approved by CPC. So it's going to be helpful protection for the players a little bit, but also because they added some cement, now we'll have it more grass. It'll look a lot better than it does. Right now it's just dirt and mud because the kids walk on it so much. So that's the only thing I have ongoing that I'm waiting for.
And then what about outside of Pope Park? Wasn't there something going on at Lake Street or something? No?
Yeah, I mean, Lake Street is an ongoing thing. It's been discussed whether or not that at some point could fall under Park and Rec. I know they're pretty much done now with what they want to do. I just don't know if they want to reassign that, and then obviously that means more manpower on our side and a different, added budget, because we're going to need people to work there and do some things. I don't mind adding other stuff around town. It's been brought to my attention, like we have some areas around town that, I think it's the museum down on Main Street, like there's a huge field, but we have to figure out, is that something that we could build on, or, because it was, a lot of that stuff was given to the town, so we have to go through who provided it to us, what will they allow us to do on it, do we want to do that, because again, if you put a playground or if you put a basketball court way down there, it's great, it helps that part of town, but then do they disturb the museum or the churches or whatever if they're on those properties? You really have to keep an eye on that stuff too, but again, it would be nice to expand around town. We've also talked about
Could be walking trails and doesn't really have to be
I know there is supposed to be some sort of walking trail with the Buzzards Bay down on Mattapoisett Road. It's supposed to connect like 4 towns. They're supposed to be doing work there. And what was the other area that we had discussed? At some point we had discussed possibly being able to add near the golf course.
Yes.
The area up towards Main Street on the golf course, like all that. This parking lot area, I know they have right now the butterfly garden or
Yes.
something over there on one side, but there's a whole other side, and who knows if that's something that needs to stay there, if it could move, or we could work around that. But that's another area of town that has been discussed or brought to my attention that we could potentially use for some more park and rec properties. So again, it's great to have everybody go to Poole Park, but it's only so big. Your playground's only so big, and then people down on the other side of Main Street have to come all the way across town to, not that Acushnet's that huge, but again, a quick jaunt to the playground, you have to get in your car and drive 15 minutes to get there, and when you could just go half a mile down the road, you might have a nice little spot. So, but more to come with that, obviously. I mean, we need to get those areas approved and ideas and make sure we can even use them before and then we gotta get funding for it, so. But that's all I have. If you guys have anything else, please feel free.
All good.
No? All right, if I can have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.